These are on VFDs. We are talking directly from the PLC. Does everyone know these terms that I'm throwing out? PLC, Programmable Logic Controller, VFD, Variable Frequency Drive. Okay. Most of the equipment that we have in the plant is tied directly to the PLC, except for the drives. All of the drives are communicating through Ethernet. Now, Ethernet is just a communications protocol. It's the same stuff that the internet uses, basically. So we are just actually talking to the drive directly and grabbing information from it. So there's only one cable that goes between. Because they are drives, you can give them speed controls. You can tell them, I want you at 50% of speed. I want you at 80% of speed. You send that a set point, it sends you back what it's running at. Pretty simple and straightforward. So if I wanted to control one of these, I would give it a set point, a speed set point, tell it that I want it to run at 75%, again, download. It tells me that it's actually running at 50%.
Now, again, is that based on the 300 CFMs for the blowers?
Yes, each blower is capable of 300.
That's our set point, is where we should be running 300 CFM.
That would be 100% speed.
That would be 100%.
Yes. Okay, you're looking at percentage of.
That's if you're running two channels, because 300 CFM is per channel.
So the blower max is 600 CFM,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So then
one
you,
channel on, 50%, we have 300 on.
And then you can verify that with your airflow.
A lot of the equipment, it goes by hertz, and now you're changing it on a percentage. You can't keep everything the same,
we can do whatever you'd like us to do.
does it?
I think most of the time that we have VFD controls, we are using actual percentages. That's what it is down in disinfection. Again, you have, these are VFDs. Your VFDs are either enabled or disabled, meaning that they are ready to run or they are not ready to run. They will show as enabled if they are communicating and actually running. They'll show as disabled if they are communicating and not running. Pretty simple and straightforward. You have start and stop control. There is no automatic function. When you start it, it's going to run, and it's going to run until you tell it to stop. It's not going to shut itself off unless it comes across an alarm. And the alarms that are possible are things like comm loss, fail to start, a low pressure on the inlet, a high pressure on the outlet, faulted drive, e-stop, or comm loss. Okay, any questions about any of that? All three grip blowers work the same way. Now we're going to go to the odor control system.
Can we just back it up a little bit too?
Sure.
On this comm loss,
Mm-hmm.
if we get that alarm, how can we still keep that piece of equipment online?
If you get that alarm, that means that it might be continuing to run, but you're no longer communicating to
Okay,
it.
all right.
Okay, that was the whole reason that I was trying to explain that these are Ethernet drives, meaning that
Yeah.
there's one cable from our processor to their processor, for lack of a better term. If for whatever reason that line, that communication goes down,
That's all it is, it's just reading that drive.
it's all it is.
Yeah.
It's talking to that drive back and forth. If you no longer can talk to that drive, you don't know what that drive is doing. If you try and tell it to start and you have no comms, obviously it can't start because you're not actually sending it the command.
So we're looking at this screen right here, the blower screen.
Okay?
And right up on the top, say we're running them one blower, well, actually, we use number 3 blower because that one's running. We could have a run status, but also have a comm loss.
You would, because this is a communication and not a hardwired thing, it's going to leave the data in the last state that it found it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so right now, that's why it's showing here that grip blower number 1 is running with the comm loss. That was the last communication that it had, was saying that it was running.
So you physically have to go.
You would have to actually go to the drive and make sure that it's running.
you were talking about a high pressure limit switch on there somewhere, what is considered the high limit? I mean, this information would be useful if we know we're getting borderline of a piece of equipment failing because of a high pressure, or if we were having a problem with the filters on the suction side, that we were getting not enough flow through it.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said pressure, they're flow.
The
They're
flow,
flow.
not pressure.
You have low flow, and these should say, they're all low, influent flow. And then you have your H2S and your LEL readings again. Okay, and that is accessed at the set points button up here.
Okay.
So you would set your set points here with your dead bands, and that's how you would get your alarms. So apparently they're all showing low flow. That's
So
what it should have
if
said.
it was a high flow, would that mean maybe there's a break in the line or something?
You would not get a high flow alarm, you would only get a low flow. I'm sorry, I borrowed part of this from the blowers for the primaries, and they have the high and low pressure on those. And that's where that snuck in at. But this only has a low flow, so that for whatever reason, your diffusers are clogged up or something like that, so you don't actually have air going through this particular valve, that would give you a low flow alarm. Yes, ma'am.
I was gonna say, in the field, there is a high pressure switch
On
on the
these,
discharge side of that blower. So that if you are getting, you do have blocked diffusers, you will see a high pressure feedback, and that will shut the blower down under, I believe it's set at 10 PSI.
Is there a relief valve on those blowers? And
Yes, there
where
is.
they set at?
That I don't.
Is it a weighted one or is it mechanical?
Spring?
Spring loaded?
Spring loaded.
Spring loaded?
Yeah. I don't know what the setting is on that, but I can check on that.
Just one comment, because Pete, maybe you can help answer this. On each one of these flow elements for each one of the grit tanks, right after that, there's a valve shown outside of the box that indicates that it's the tank, right? The little valve right there. Now that valve, you pointed out to us when we were out there that there's a whole bunch of valves under the grating,
Right.
okay? And those are for the individual drop legs. Where is the valve that shuts off a whole tank without having to lift up the grating?
I'll have to verify that in the field. I'll take a look when we're out this
Yeah,
afternoon.
yeah, I believe there's supposed to be that, and I was looking for that in the field.
Mhm.
I'm just thinking normally unless you have a problem with the drop legs, particularly like when we start up, if we're starting up one side or the other, and we're gonna turn the air on maybe in one side, not the other, and perhaps it would be helpful to just turn off the whole train on the other side, right? I'm not sure where that valve is.
I'll have to verify that in the field. I'm not even sure that that valve does exist.
Yeah.
any other questions? Okay. We're going to page 22, which is the odor control system. None of the odor control system is actually online currently. Eventually, it will be. Down the road a piece, it will be. Currently, it isn't. However, we should get you a little bit familiar with the screen at least. Where do I even start? We have wastewater pumps, recirc pumps, odor control fans and dampers, non-potable water supply valves. All of these things can be controlled from this screen. You have your primary settling tank and Headworks odor control screen, and it has the odor control fan, which as long as it's in remote can be started and stopped. Your non-potable water supply valve can be opened or closed. It has two modes, automatic or manual. Your grit chamber isolation dampers, you have two, open, close, stop, again, just like the others, so you can have it halfway through. You have a manual mode, and you have the automatic mode. Automatic mode, it opens and closes as it deems appropriate based on the amount of flow through there. Okay, that the machine would then control based on temperature. In auto, closes at say 35 degrees, and opens at 45 degrees, so it would know when to open and close those dampers. Okay? Any questions on this one? Again, all of the information on what you'll be able to control is in this handout right here, so that, you know, keep the handout so that when we actually get to this part, you'll know what the heck's going on, even if you don't get the training class again. But, I mean, we'll obviously have it, but if you don't attend it, you'll still know how, at least what all the different pieces are of this screen. You can control things like the glycol, three-way modulating valve, again, the wastewater pumps, the recirc pumps, the non-potable water supply solenoid, all of that can be controlled from here. Of course, none of it exists yet, so. We're going to page 29. We're gonna look at the septage receiving. On this screen, you've got septage receiving bays 1 through 3. The discharge valves are shown currently in yellow or green or red for open. Traveling is yellow, green is closed. You can find overload alarms for those 3. If they were to go into overload, they would show an overload alarm right above the valve. You can control those valves by putting them into, automatic mode. Currently manual doesn't do anything, so that, how do I even put this? Eventually we're gonna get the keypad guy in, and we're gonna get the card slider guy, card reader guy in, and the 3 of us, those 2 people and myself, are gonna get together and make it so that this system actually works. Oh, we're almost done. Basically what's gonna happen is Truck's gonna come in, he's gonna swipe his card, he's gonna put in his numbers, we're gonna open the valve automatically, not we, but the computer's gonna open the valve. Gonna drop or as long as whatever is downstream of the valve is not in a high condition. If it is in a high condition, he's just SOL. So,
You mean like if it's so high that if you open the valve, it comes shooting back out?
exactly. Of course, you guys are all more familiar with the way this is gonna work than I am, so you already know all this stuff, so you don't need me to tell you how this is gonna work. And that is the last of the screens for the East Headworks system.